I I'm making this. I'm gonna say something before I get into there. When you are working at your job and that stuff, um, you should work in a very healthy condition, both physically and mentally. And you should never go to your job feeling completely sick and then you take like painkillers or IV drips or whatever just so that um just so that you have the just so that you have the power from the medication that you're taking to actually like ignore those problems while you're at work. I mean, seriously, you're going to work because you want to get a really, really good paycheck, and you physically just don't want to deal with your physical health right now, or or you're like really like mentally like depressed or whatever. I mean, you could take medication like for depression if you're at work. And if somebody gives you a hard time at work and then makes you mentally ill mentally with like depression and that stuff, you can take medication for depression. I mean, your mental health is almost equally as important as your physical health. I mean, you don't have to go to a hospital, you don't have to call in a sick day of work for any medical, like any mental sickness, if you're having like any mental breakdowns. Because there's medication that you can take for being really depressed about a coworker who's giving you a hard time at your job, or yeah, for like in situations like that, you can take medication for depression. Or you're stressed out of work because you have so much on your plate. Anyway, let's get into the first few minutes of this of the Super Smash Bros. Direct that was made on April 8th of 2014.
Hello everyone, I'm the director of Super Smash Bros., Masahiro Sakurai of Soar Limited. Yes, I'm still alive.
Okay. So, the director in this one, even though I have not even seen this in the past, seems like he was still fighting that stomach pain that he was having. Like, I think back then when he made that direct, I think he was still having like not mental problem, but like physical problems with like stomach pain and, that stuff. Being that he said he was still alive and still making that direct back in 2014, kind of gives you a little clue that he was still fighting stomach pain back then. And then here we are, like, 4 years later. Here we are 4 years later, and he's taking IV drips and still in the process of creating Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's not a very, very good condition to actually, like, take, like, painkillers and IV drips and just, like, completely ignore the problem. Like, oh, it's just pain. It'll go away if I take this. Like, no. No, it doesn't work like that. You can't take, like, medication that will, like, bypass a problem that you have with your body for a few hours, and then you start feeling it again. You should never go to work feeling sick and then take painkillers and IV drips to ignore the pain for those next 8 hours or so while you're still working because you just care about making money. I mean, you care about your job and you care about making that big money and that stuff. And money yourself, well, money them. You only care about making money at your job. That's all you care about. You don't care about anything else. Your health is the most highly important thing before you go to work. Other than making money, health has a higher value than making money at your job. And I like Masahiro Sakurai. I loved the great games that he was making and that stuff. And he was actually really nice. I thought he was... Well, I was kind of blinded by his youth because I thought he looked completely healthy, but no, when he said he was alive in that Super Smash Bros. Direct made back in April 8th of 2014, I kind of didn't know that when he said he was still alive that he was fighting some physical problems with his body. That really kind of gave people a hint. Now maybe others have seen this way before I did, and 4 years ago, I was about 4 years I was back in high school. And it was way before my birthday. So I was probably about, like, 18, I think it was. I remember because I had 2 years of BOCES. And then when I heard of this Super Smash Bros. Direct that was happening on April 8th of 2014, I got really excited for it. That stuff. So I watched that, and then I had my teeth cleaned. I think it was that October of 2013 or something like that. And I experienced a similar problem that Masahiro Sakurai is facing right now with the stomach pain. I was taken to the hospital at Olean, and the doctor said that the reason why people get headaches was because they're not drinking enough water. I'm like, okay, so all I have to do is drink a lot of water and that stuff, and then my headache pain will go away. Little did I know why I was having constant headaches all the time. It was it was the last day. It was the last day of April of 2014, and I went to school that day, and I was feeling completely okay. And and when I was done with that day of school, that those headache problems started coming back. And I was like, seriously, like, cowering. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Is my parents gonna keep on making me go to school because I'm feeling this and that stuff? No. One of them suggested that I be taken to the hospital and have this problem treated. And I said, well, I'll be missing a lot of school from that. And that said, I don't care. You have a serious problem with your head, and you need to get this taken care of before you go back to school. So I was told by the doctor to drink a lot of water for headaches. And that's what happened. People get headaches because they're, like, dehydrated. And I was like, okay, all I have to drink enough water, and this whole problem will, like, bypass. But no, my head issue was completely not normal. Something was wrapping around my brain, and it was causing, like, constant headaches, like, day after day. And I had to get this taken care of. So we ended up staying at the Olean General Hospital, and then two people who are in ambulance uniforms, they show up at the door of my doctor's room, and they come and they tell me that I'm going to the Geisinger Medical Center. Now, if you know where that location is, it's Danville, Pennsylvania. The hospital is very huge. It had a lot of stuff. It had cafeterias. It had lots of gift shops, and they had a turtle fountain there. They had lots of vending machines, lots of cafes, and it was very huge. They even had their own parking lot, like a huge parking lot, like, say, for example, an airport or a casino. It was big as those kind of garages. And when I get to the Geisinger Medical Center, I'm there until May 7th of 2014. And I was missing almost about 5 days of school, because I think toward the end, when I got out of the Geisinger Medical Center, I believe that was on a weekend. Let me check my calendar here. switch back the dates to 2014. And I see if this worked. I never tried to go back years with the calendar, and I don't think it worked, but see, the 7th was, okay, so let's take it back 4 years. The 7th would have been on a Friday, and I got out of the hospital, I think it was that morning, and we came back home, and then we went back home for the day, and I did not go back to school because of that. We probably got, home close to the time that school was getting out for the day, and and it was very, well, at that time, the doctor had me being put on an overdose of antibiotics, which was to help, I think it was to fight the bacteria of my problem with my major headaches. And then I also had some special mouthwash to take with that. And the antibiotics made me sleepy, every time that I had it. Plus I had to wear, an IV on my right arm. And I had to have that IV changed every, 2 weeks. And then I believe when we got to, June, I've had this IV, I had IVs on me for, I'd say until, mid-June of 2014. And I quit. The doctor said I could quit taking the antibiotics. And possibly by the time that summer came around, I was completely back to my normal self. But once I got back home, like I said, April 7th, which was a Friday, or May 7th, which was a Friday, in 2014, wait, it was 2012. I remember. It was 2012. So, I believe that was a Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, I went back to school, and I was feeling very, very much like a drunk person, being intoxicated with alcohol, which I wasn't really drinking. I was given order by a doctor to have an overdose of antibiotics. And what happened was, when I got back to school, I had to be surrounded when roaming the halls, and then I had to have one of my aide teachers help me get around the hallways because I was in such a very, very bad condition to actually roam the hallways myself. And I had to have people protect me because if some moron was carelessly running in the hallway and bumped into me and that stuff and I fell on my head probably would have felt like it was going to crack because I felt very, very lightheaded after the surgery that I had. And I believe I didn't get the surgery until May 4th, something like that. And I didn't like what was going on, but I knew it had to be done. By the time after they cut my head open and after they were done, I woke up and my head felt completely weird, really weird. I felt like, is this how I'm gonna be forever? Having my head hurting like this? Well, obviously no, because eventually, by the time I got home, my head being cut open feel almost went away, but even if I did touch my head, I still could feel that. I have I still have the opening mark that they left on my head, and if you still touch it, I could still feel that pain that I received 7 years ago. Anyway, I had to have an MRI done every May 7th, which was the day that I got out of the hospital, and they wanted to make sure that this pain was completely gone, and making sure that I was completely fine. And yeah, they also wanted to make sure that I was well enough to go back to school. And my health bottom line was the most important before I went back to school. That was the most important thing. I've been sent many get well cards in the mail to the Geisinger Medical Center, and a lot of them was from my classmates and the people that I went to school with. And it said, "Get better. I hope you feel well soon." And they were nice to me. They were very nice. Even one of my friends that was in my class offered me to order me Subway when I got well, and it was very nice. But I was very sick of eating hospital food for the whole day straight that I was at the hospital. I didn't like that, but hey, I was getting stuff to eat, so survival, your hunger was was important too, as much as your health. But the reason why I shared that whole story with you, it's not really a story that I had. It was basically, well, it was my history of my health back in 2012 of April and up to May 7th. It was my history of my headache problem, that stuff. My mother or my parents refused to give me like medication to have me bypass the problem so that I could go to school and feel regular and then still have to deal with the problem. Apparently, I couldn't go to school and take medication and ignore the problem. I had to get the problem taken care of. Anyway, that's my whole historical history of my health back in that day. And, yeah. My story has some kind of connection to this. So, Michiro Sakurai, well, first off, let me say this. After the completion of Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U, Game Explained stated that Sakurai needed a break from that stuff. And here he is making Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then we find out that he has stomach pain, and then it raises the question in my head, like, well, what was he doing with his big break when he finished Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U? What was he doing that whole time? He should have got, like, all of that taken care of and that stuff. And maybe he did say in an interview that he might have had undercooked stuff or whatever, and that stuff, it could be like, might be a result of the stomach pain. Like, if you eat food that's, like, rotten, that, like, rots over, like, a month or so, and you eat it and that stuff, it can have very negative effects to your body after your body digests the poisonous food. And you could have some serious stomach pain after that. And what is your solution? You should go to the hospital and talk with your doctor to have this problem removed. You don't take painkillers and IV drips and still go to your job like normally. I mean, seriously, who does that? Has anybody in the history of Nintendo ever have, like, very, very serious physical problems with their body, and they just take painkillers or whatever, and they just go to work like they normally do and feel completely fine until after they get off their work? Then the pain starts coming back again. And you don't go and confront a doctor about this, about your problem. I mean, come on, seriously? If Michiro Sakurai doesn't get the medical help that he needs for his stomach pains, like, what the director of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate really needs is he really needs to have, like, surgery on his stomach, and then he needs to be questioned by his doctor if he's eaten, like, undercooked food or poisonous, like, food that's rotted or whatever. And he should be told that he needs to take better care of his health. I thought for sure that he looked completely healthy, but when I hear about the stomach problem in his health, I kind of just like changed my mind about him a little. Because I don't think Michelle Sakurai takes good care of his health. It's all take IV drips a day, and then I feel completely fine. I can go back to work, and I can work on the highly anticipated games that the fans want, and I'll feel completely normal. And then the next day that I go to work, I do the same thing. I take more IV drips, I feel completely normal, and I don't need to worry about my conditions. I can take medication, and I can feel like I normally do when I go to work every day. And I can, and the power of the medication just helps me. It helps me to fight the problems that I have. I don't need I don't need help with fighting these things, because I've got my own answer to my own problems, and that is take IV drips every day. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's taking IV drips a day to ignore his problem that he has with his stomach, and he's not bother going to the doctor about it and that stuff. And that, to me, is just wrong. You shouldn't go to work every day and take medication if you have a serious health problem. Like, you should never do that. If I were to go, say if I went to school that one day, I'm gonna reflect back off of my story. If I went to school and I'm still going to school, whether I'm seriously sick to the head, because my teachers want me there, and I want to keep my grades up, and I can't accept a bunch of absences from school and watch my grades just drop. I can't do that. I've got to be at school, whether I'm physically fine or whether I'm physically not fine. I gotta go there and keep my grades up and that stuff. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to graduate it, and I'm worried about not graduating from high school back then, and than I am about my health and that stuff. I mean, you can't do that. You can't just go back to your job or school, whatever it is, and say, well, I'm going back there because money, or my grades on my report card, and me graduating from high school is more important, and highly the most important thing than my health. You got to take care of your physical health. It's the highly most important thing before you go off to school. Now, technically you graduate, but you could still, if you were working there as a teacher or a principal or whatever and that stuff, then yeah, you'd be going to school because that's where your job is. But you don't go to your job and, like, push yourself very, very hardly while being on this medication that helps you bypass your physical problem with your body, and then say, like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just take medication and I'll have the power to fight the infection through the medication. That I don't need a doctor and that stuff. I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody helping me and that stuff. If I take IV drips and ignore the stomach pain and that stuff, then I'll be completely fine. I just take IV drips every day and I'll feel like a completely normal person. Plus, we got these DLCs of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that's coming out soon. And one of them is Joker from Persona 5, which I don't really play. Well, the Joker from Persona 5. Persona 5 is a rated M for mature game, and so is Bayonetta. But anyway, that's not the point I'm trying to make, is that you're going to, like, continue to take IV drips, Michiru Sakurai, so that you can get these DLCs out that fans are most anticipated to want in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I would say you should be thinking twice before you do that, because I should say you should postpone the dates that you want the DLCs to come out and take care of your health issues first, because health is your highly important thing than money. Health has a higher value than anything else that you earn. So that's my say in this. If you go to work and you take medication just to help bypass your problems, well, you really need to seriously reconsider doing that. If you're experiencing these problems like every day, then you need to find a doctor, and you need to find a doctor fast, because you should take care of your serious health problem before it kills you. Because if the fans of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the fans who love Sakurai's creation, like the Kirby series or the Kid Icarus series, they're going to be disappointed if the director doesn't really take good care of his health and really suggest that he goes to the hospital to get the problem taken care of, and he doesn't listen to it. Then when he's dead, then the fans are going to be like really, really disappointed, and they're gonna want to just really, really cry, because Michiru Sakurai, you're not bothering to take care of your health. You're just taking IV drips and just bypassing the problem like it's no big deal. When you take IV drips and you go to work like you feel regularly, that's not good. And you really need to see a doctor if you really are feeling these pains every day. I've went to Geisinger Medical Clinic to have surgery on my headache when it was something wrapping around my brain that was causing these headaches and that stuff. I had surgery, and they had to cut my head open to remove what was wrapping around my brain. And they've had to, after I had that out, I felt completely fine. Although I did feel like, loopy and that stuff, but I didn't really care of the pain that I was feeling after surgery. I cared that, thank goodness, my headache problem is finally done. Thank goodness I went to the hospital and got this problem taken care of. If I was having this problem and I kept going to school and that stuff, I would have died at a very, very young age. It would have been very bad, and it would have been very disappointing. And I'm going to say this, and thank goodness that I had parents that knew that my situation was getting worse and worse and worse, and they knew that I needed they knew I needed some medical surgery done to me. And I'm very, very glad that they did that. And that they suggested that I'd be rushed to the hospital so that I could get this medical problem and get the medical attention that I needed and the care that I needed so that I could finally get rid of this problem once and for all that I had back in 2012 and go back to school like I normally would and not feel completely physically sick in the body. It was the most important thing that has happened to me. And this is what Michairo Sakurai needs to do. He needs to get his problem taken care of. Otherwise, if he dies, he can't continue making the Super Smash Bros. Series that most of the fans anticipate. He's too young to throw his life away like that. He's too young to do that. I noticed that Satoru Iwata died out of a viral duct growth, that he needed to seek medical attention, but it was too late at his time. He should have sought medical attention back in 2013 before he died of July 11th of 2014. But I don't know, it's just crazy how some people think that when they got medical problems with themselves, they think like, oh, I know how to handle this solution. I don't need to go see my doctor. I just need to go take some IV drips and painkillers and feel regular. Feel regular at my job. I don't have to have medical attention for this stuff. But no, that's not how it goes, people. When you have a medical problem and it's very serious, you need to take some time off of work or ask to take sick days from school, and you need to get this medical problem that you're having physically. You need to confront doctors and get this problem taken care of permanently, or it's going to take you down with it. It's very serious. Nobody should play games when it comes to when anybody has serious physical pain problems with their body. So I'll end the video. I strongly suggest that you comment on this video because I want to make this video like a discussion on what should you what you seriously need to do for when you're physically, physically, bodily sick. Like, I want to hear your opinions about this. I suggest you comment, like this video, and subscribe. I will be uploading replays and continue doing this stuff. I enjoy talking about news and this stuff on this channel. And I hope that all of you took your time to watch this video and listen to the discussion that I've had to have about this physical health problem situation with Michiru Sakurai, and listen to the history of what I did back in 2012, and I will see you all in the next video. This is Charles Morris. Have a good day. I strongly hope that you have liked and listened well to this video, and I will see you all later.